Astonishing Legends Network.
Disclaimer. This episode includes the usual amount of adult language and graphic discussions you've come to expect around here. But in the event it becomes an unusual amount, expect another call from me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Scared All the Time. I'm your host, Chris Kalari.
And I'm Ed, and I can't see.
And Ed can't see because we are wearing our safety glasses because this week on the show, we are taking a long look at the sun. Well, not directly at the sun. Please don't look directly at it. We are going to take a look at solar eclipses. The next one is coming up in about a week on August 12th, and it's going to be visible over the Arctic, Greenland, Iceland, the Atlantic Ocean, northern Spain, and parts of Portugal. And if you're in those parts of the world and listening to this show, you probably already know that's going to be a total solar eclipse.
Wait, so these glasses, we don't need these here?
We don't need these here. We could actually take these off.
Oh, okay.
And then we could see.
All right.
Oh, that's better. That's better.
Ugh. I mean, I've been hanging on to these for the next solar eclipse for a long time and hasn't happened, so.
We're going to talk a little bit about these glasses in a little bit, but I want to start by saying, in modern times, solar eclipses feel fun. You order these little cardboard glasses, you go stand in a parking lot with your coworkers, you go woo for 90 seconds, and then you go back inside and probably post about it.
That is fun.
But that reaction, that fun reaction, makes us historical outliers, because for basically everyone who has ever lived before us, the daytime sky going dark was the single most terrifying thing that could happen. It was a sign that either a god was dying, or a demon was loose, or the world was ending, or at the absolute minimum that you and everyone you loved were about to get eaten by some creature from the sky. And look, our ancestors were not entirely wrong to be scared. An eclipse can hurt you. It can reach down out of the sky and brand a scar into the back of your eyeball painlessly in a couple of seconds, and you won't feel a thing until your vision starts to go. But as far as solar eclipse horrors go, that's honestly the best case scenario. So avert your eyes and turn up the podcast. We're about to shed a little light on solar eclipses.
What are we?
Scared.
When are we?
All the time.
Join us.
Join us.
Now it is time for
Scared All the Time.
All right, let me start by saying that I know solar eclipses are not exclusively a summer thing. They don't just happen during the summer, but I thought that they would be good for the summer of fear because we're about 6 days out from a pretty significant one, and solar eclipses are sun-related.
Sun is summer.
Sun is summer. Ed, I ask you, what is more summery than sun?
I can't think of it.
Literally nothing. So maybe we'll just do the sun next summer. That's probably a good one. There are a lot of terrifying things about it. But until then, we're going to talk about what happens when it seems like it disappears from the sky completely. Before we get into our personal experiences with eclipses, as we usually start off the show with our personal fear connection.
I thought you were going to say with the sun. And I was like, I don't know, every morning I wake up and that piece of shit's still there.
Still, it's welcoming
Providing life, but also being annoying.
Being annoying, burning your skin, especially out here.
Yep, chasing you if you're Mario.
Before we get into our experiences with solar eclipses, though, I do think it's probably good to just clue the entire audience in, if they aren't aware, on what exactly a solar eclipse is. So, in a total solar eclipse, the sun seems to completely disappear from the sky. It's blocked. A big black circle goes in front of it, and you can't see the sun.
There's not even like an iris or like a ring?
Sometimes there is, yes.
Okay.
But when an eclipse happens, it is being covered up, or eclipsed, by the moon sliding directly between the orbit of the Earth and the orbit of the sun. And the first crazy fact about eclipses is that the only reason they happen in the way that we see them on Earth is because the sun is about 400 times wider than the moon, and it also happens to be about 400 times farther away, which means when the moon comes directly between the Earth and the sun, it blocks out the sun exactly. They look to us to be about the same size.
That worked out.
Yeah, it's a really wild coincidence, and according to NASA, that's not a thing that has to happen scientifically. It's just a thing that happens to be true right now on Earth at this point in time. And it won't be true forever because the moon is slowly drifting away from our planet.
I get it. I've met us.
Well, it's not our fault.
Humanity?
Humanity, you and I.
Oh, yeah.
We're
Just
not-
saying, if you have the opportunity to go, go. Never hear billionaires talking about fixing anything here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they talk about they want to put some bases on the moon, but the moon is drifting away, and in a few 100 million years, there won't be any total eclipses at all.
Okay.
Because the moon will be in a different position, and so it won't be able to fully eclipse the sun. When the moon does eclipse the sun, and
Like a big pizza pie?
like a big when the moon hits the sun like a big pizza pie, as the song famously goes.
Yeah.
NASA also tells us that the people on Earth who are located in the center of the shadow that the moon casts will experience a total eclipse.
Okay.
The sky will darken almost to dawn or dusk, even darker. And weather permitting, people standing in that path, depending on how clear the sky is, will be able to see the sun's corona, or the outer atmosphere, which is what I think you were talking about.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
what I was
ring.
talking about.
Normally, you can't see the corona because the sun is so bright. First of all, you shouldn't be looking at it. But if you were to look at the sun, you can't see the atmosphere because the light of the sun is so bright. It doesn't appear to the eye. If you aren't directly in the moon's shadow when it slides in front of the sun, you'll see a partial eclipse, which is much more common. And again, depending on where you are in the world, some people are experiencing a total eclipse while the rest of us are only experiencing a partial eclipse. They're the same celestial event. It just depends on your perspective.
Okay.
And if you're seeing a partial eclipse, that's the one where it looks like the moon has like taken a bite of the sun, or there's a crescent,
I mean, they're all fun.
They're all fun. They're all pretty cool. And there are 3 other types of eclipses that we won't really get into. There's annular, partial, and hybrid, which are all kind of majestic in their own ways, but none of them hold the same kind of power over the human imagination as a full, total solar eclipse. Even though we know much more now about what causes solar eclipses than our ancestors ever did, I don't think experiencing an eclipse in the present day makes it... I don't think it's any less powerful of an experience than when people thought it was a sky god eating the sun.
No, it's cool. I mean, it's a little less powerful experience because I have a good picture from the last eclipse of like a local news reporter just dressed like the sun, and it just sucked. And it was like this epic event, and then this person being like, "Yeah, this is Chad from WE. I hate my fucking life." Sun's getting in the way of the moon, or whatever. Vice versa.
Moon's getting in the way of the sun. Let's try to keep that straight. It is the moon blocking out the sun.
I don't know, or I think each time it is. Yeah,
it is every time. If the sun blocked out the moon, I don't know that you would notice. I mean, there are lunar eclipses. I guess that's what... Oh, no, the lunar eclipse is when the Earth gets between the sun.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way the sun's just not... It's not possible.
Right, because the sun is at the center.
It's really far away.
What's so majestic about it is that... And it's sort of... Because of our perspective on Earth, it's sort of hard to keep this in mind, maybe, but... We are watching a moon block out a star in real time. I mean, it's about as...
Oh, it's forced perspective, but...
Yes, it's forced perspective, but it still is an awe-inspiring forced perspective. Look, I know a lot of Lord of the Rings was done with forced perspective, and that's still pretty impressive.
Look, I have the glasses, all right? I don't need to be told about awe-inspiring. I have the glasses. I like looking at it. It's fun. I have no money to travel for whatever this one is, but I have glasses.
I think the novelist James Fenimore Cooper captured the experience well after he witnessed an eclipse in upstate New York. And years later, he recalled it vividly, saying, quote, "I shall only say that I have passed a varied and eventful life, that it has been my fortune to see earth, heavens, ocean, and man in most of their aspects," he wrote. "But never have I beheld any spectacle which so plainly manifested the majesty of the Creator or so forcibly taught the lesson of humility to man as a total eclipse of the sun."
What year do you write that? It's a long time ago. This is before the moon landing.
Yes, it was before the moon landing. I don't know what year he actually wrote this. Probably at some
Because I think
point.
what he's trying to convey there is what Earthrise, the picture, should be conveying to everyone. And it seems like people have forgotten that.
Yeah, I mean, I would also argue that whatever lessons of humility that man was so forcibly taught by the eclipse that he witnessed were forgotten pretty quickly.
Yeah, with social media.
We are not a humble species. Because the experience of a total eclipse is so majestic, people have gone to genuinely unhinged lengths to experience them for as long as possible when they happen. So, Ed, have you ever heard of the movie Endless Summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a documentary from the 19th.
I know the poster better than I've never sat through the movie.
My grandparents showed it to me when I was a kid, and I don't think I really particularly enjoyed it at the time, but as with most of the movies they showed me as a kid, I've rewatched them and gone, oh, wow, they were trying to instill good taste in me. But
yeah, and it's a great poster.
It's a great poster. The movie itself, if you haven't seen it, is a documentary about a surfer who travels around the world to always be surfing in the summer, to have an endless summer where you can surf in every cool location around the globe. And in 1973, a team of scientists sort of tried to do the same thing with an eclipse. They loaded onto a Concorde jet, the supersonic jet that we don't use anymore.
R.I.P. God bless.
Because it explodes too much.
Only twice.
Only twice.
I mean, it's a little weird. Only twice, and then we've given up supersonic flight commercially. A little weird. We had that, and then we stepped backwards as a society, and that's weird.
It is a little bit, but I wonder if it's partially because it was not a particularly common. I mean, it was common in the sense
it couldn't fly a lot of places. It had to fly over the water. So you can only fly to like New York, to England,
you couldn't,
Australia, to
you
fucking
couldn't fly a
France.
lot of places, and it was an expensive ticket.
It was and wasn't. I'd be interested to see what the difference is just between a first class price now in 2026 with a fucking oil crisis versus like a coach seat if that existed on that.
Right. But it was, even when it existed, the Concorde was really built for a very small segment of society. And so I think two jaw-droppingly awful explosions that captured the world's headlines was probably enough to make it a financially unsustainable business after that point.
Well, an interesting point to that, before they all blew up, they was already in a financially unstable business because they just didn't have enough routes. And I think I read something somewhere where it was like the people over there were like, well, we need to charge more for tickets. It's like, how much should we charge? And it was like almost everyone who flies the Concorde, it's a fucking corporate expense.
Right.
They probably don't even know what they're spending. So they just were like, just charge whatever we want and see what happens. And so they charged like way more than they thought was okay. Like, not was okay, but like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They said,
and
name your price.
And they just kept getting tickets sold because they were all like just corporate business cards.
Right.
It was most real regular people weren't flying the Concorde, but
Right.
they were exclusively flown by executives.
Right.
First class, whatever.
Right.
They realized at that moment, like, yeah, these are all corporate expense accounts. Like, no one's even going to notice what we're charging.
So did they ever have to bring the price down because someone did notice what they were charging?
No, I think they all crashed before
Okay.
that happened. But I think they were like, oh shit, because we could do a whole episode on the Concorde, but America was one of the 3 countries that were supposed to be like paying for it. Like a bunch of countries went in on it.
Okay.
And then America bailed the last minute to make the Dreamliner or whatever because they were like, hey, you might have more. It's a very American thing to do. Where basically they were like, oh, you might be able to fly a ton more times back and forth from New York to London than we can, but we'll just build a plane so big that we can sell more tickets. It'll come out the same. We'll have less times back and forth, but we'll
Right.
have so many more fares.
Right.
And so, but I think they told them pretty late in the game and kind of left them in the lurch a little bit.
Is that part of why it was poorly engineered and exploded a lot? Because
Maybe.
we pulled out at the last
I don't know.
second?
I don't know. I haven't revisited that long article in a long time.
Well, in this case, the Concorde was used for a very unique purpose, which was this team of scientists. Again, this was 1973. They got onto the Concorde, the supersonic jet, and they chased an eclipse across Africa at faster than the speed of sound. So they wanted to stay inside the totality of the eclipse as long as they could as the Earth turned. And they were able to stay inside the total darkness for about 74 minutes, which is the longest that anyone ever could possibly experience an eclipse. Well, I guess you could ride the shadow for longer, but on the ground, NASA says the absolute theoretical maximum you could ever get out of a total solar eclipse is around 7.5 minutes, and that almost never happens. So they were in totality for 10 times as long as any human being has ever been or probably will be. Although I didn't look up prices, apparently I saw in my research there are commercial airlines that still offer special eclipse flights. So when they know that they're going to be, I think it was even just like American Airlines, if they know they're going to be flying the route through the path of totality, they make it like a special thing.
That's fun.
You can buy tickets for it.
I'm sure we
so-
can't afford it.
Probably not, but if anybody wants us to record a live episode from the sky
Yeah.
while experiencing a fear of flying and eclipses, you know what to do. Send us those tickets.
Yeah, sure.
Most total eclipses, the longest is 7.5. Most total eclipses give us 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes if we're lucky. The longest one coming this millennium in July of the year 2186.
Well, I'm not going to be around for that.
No, but it'll clock in at 7 minutes and 29 seconds.
Yeah, well.
So it's about the longest that anyone could ever possibly experience if you are in Colombia, Venezuela, or Guyana, where the totality will be visible.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to go for 41 minutes.
No, it's not, though.
The thing is, I'm not going to be here to find out I'm wrong. So you heard it here first. Everyone get down to Colombia. It's going to be a 41-minute fucking of darkness.
You heard it here first, everyone. I'm going to bury Ed on a hill in Guyana so that his corpse will be forced to watch him being wrong.
Dude, put that Polymarket bet in now.
On the other end of eclipses, the shortest total solar eclipse happened on February 3rd, 919, the year 919, and lasted just 9 seconds. Since you and I, Ed, were born in the mid-'80s, the U.S. has experienced about 14 major solar eclipses, 2 of which have been total throughout lots of the United States. One of them was in 1994. Do you remember that one?
No.
Okay, well, this is, I guess, where I'll stop and ask and say, do you remember ever seeing a total solar eclipse?
I remember seeing eclipses. I've never stopped to confirm whether it was a partial or a total. What was the one like a year ago?
Well, so that one, I believe, was 2017, or maybe, was there one in 2024?
Well, since these glasses are not deteriorated to nothing, it must have been pretty recent.
Yeah. Well, you would remember if you were ever in
What's the one Trump looked directly at?
That was the one in 2017.
And that was total.
Not where he was.
That's where I got. I'm pretty sure that's when these glasses are from.
Yeah, these glasses probably are from 2017. Let's see if there's a date on them.
It has a lot of like. First off, it's by a company called Medical King.
Medical King.
And I like that it conforms and meets the transmission requirements of whatever filters, but I also don't know if they just stamped that on there. Like,
Well,
how
we're
am I going
gonna-
to be able to confirm that?
We're going to talk about that in a little bit here, but
Before this, I think I would have... Any other eclipse I looked at before purchasing this, it would have just been through my dad's welding mask. Like my dad's welding helmet is
Yeah.
probably the only other way we looked at shit.
you would remember if you'd experienced a total eclipse because the sky goes dark. It's not like the sun is blocked.
Well, I was here. You know what? I don't know if even the 2017 one was total eclipse. Because,
don't think it was.
Because I want to say that in my backyard, there like the dappled light
Right.
from the trees was like little crescent moons.
Yes. That happens many places where you get the partial.
I don't know if I ever saw a total eclipse.
I'm pretty sure the one in 1994.
Of the heart.
Well,
I have.
we've all experienced a total eclipse of the heart at one time or another.
Yeah, but never. Don't think I've ever seen a total eclipse.
I remember, maybe it didn't pass over Connecticut. I feel like it must have in 1994 because in Pennsylvania, I remember, I didn't know it was 1994, but I remembered in elementary school, there was definitely one that our school had, it was like a big deal. Like we did a unit on it and then we had like little, I think we maybe watched it through the shadow. You know,
I think we built a stupid box thing.
yeah, exactly.
I think we built like now that you're saying it, I think our class built a dumb thing made of like cardboard.
Yes.
But also, remember there was like an important comet around the same time, maybe?
Oh, was Hail Bop around the mid-90s somewhere?
There was something from my childhood that was comet-based that we also had like a classroom exercise for. Mm-hmm. But I don't remember anything about it because I'm just remembering it right now.
Yeah. It was a pretty big deal. The one in LA a few years ago in 2017.
God, that feels like yesterday, dude.
I know. But that was the dappled light one. That was the one where I think I was maybe on a walk in the middle of the day and I knew it was supposed to happen, but I also knew you're not supposed to look at it. And I just remember looking at all the shadows of the leaves being those little crescent shadows.
Yeah.
But yeah, eclipses are notoriously bad for people's eyesight because the only safe time to look at a total eclipse without glasses is the very moment or moments that the moon is fully in front of the sun and actually blocking it all out. During those moments, you can safely look at the eclipse. But
you got to be somewhere where it's like a total eclipse.
Yes.
You got to be somewhere in South America or near the equator or something.
Well, you just have to be wherever the total eclipse happens to be. So they
I don't
always
think
fall.
It was happening here.
They always fall somewhere different depending on where the shadow of the moon falls.
Sure,
on
but
the
I'm
Earth.
saying, like, I feel like plenty of people are looking right directly at it, thinking that they're safe, but they're not necessarily in a place where it's 100%
Correct. And
mooned out.
because we are a socially responsible podcast, I would even expand that rule to just say never look at an eclipse directly, even if you think it is the totality of the eclipse.
Get some of these glasses for $1 and use them for the next 200 years, or use your dad's welding mask.
Well, so here's the thing about using your dad's welding mask or getting these glasses for $1.
Both great deals.
Both terrible ideas.
Stop it.
According to CNN, during the 2017 eclipse, viewers were warned to view the event only through special glasses. Quote, filters that meet the ISO 12312-2 standard, which the glasses that Ed and I are holding
Claim to
meet. Filters that meet that standard reduce the sun's brightness to a safe and comfortable level, like that of a full moon, and block harmful ultraviolet and infrared radiation as well, Rick Feinberg of the American Astronomical Society said at the time. Quote, solar filters that meet this standard are about 100,000 times darker than ordinary sunglasses, and sunglasses don't block infrared radiation.
Yeah, well, I can't see you right now. I can't even see any of the lights on in this room.
We're putting the paper glasses back on here, and I will say, look, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
I can't claim that this is 100,000 times darker than a regular pair of sunglasses, because I think once you get past the 1,000 times darker, it's, you know, to the...
It's just paint at that point.
Yeah, to my eye, it's all the same, but it's not. To science's eye, it's very important that it's 100,000 times darker. That's how well protected your eyes have to be if you want to look directly at the sun. And if you ignore those warnings, get ready to experience something called solar retinopathy, which is a fancy science way of saying going blind.
Forever.
It can be forever.
Okay.
We've known that staring at the sun or an eclipse is bad news for the human eye for centuries. Socrates even advised that an eclipse only be watched indirectly through a reflection in water. So they were warning people back then, don't look at it. It's only relatively recently, though, that we've figured out what exactly happens if you do. This is kind of fucked up on the sun's part and our eyes' part, I think. When you stare at the sun, the lens in your eye does what the lens always does. It focuses all that light down to a tiny point on the back of your eye, right on the part of your retina called the fovea, which is the part that you use to have sharp central vision.
Eyes are unbelievable, dude.
Normally, that light that you are focusing onto the back of your retina is bouncing off the ground, the walls, a tree, a car. It's indirect. You're not looking directly at it. So it's safe when it's focused onto your fovea. But when you focus the full spectrum of the sun onto your fovea, it literally cooks it. Some of the damage is thermal, like a magnifying glass over an ant. And some of it is photochemical, with the high energy light pouring out of the sun, basically poisoning the receptor cells in your eye. Either way, you are burning out the most precious real estate in your visual system.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. What's really nuts, though, and the reason that I think it's a little bit bullshit, is that it doesn't hurt because your retina doesn't have any pain receptors. So when you're standing there frying your own eyeballs out, your body sends you exactly 0 warning signals. It's not like touching a hot stove.
What if you touch my eye, I feel it.
Well, yeah, but you're not touching.
So there's nerves. It's just the light doesn't cause it.
The retina is different than your eyeball.
Okay, let's all... no reason to be a fucking doctor about it.
Your eyeball has pain receptors in it.
Yeah.
Your retina in the very back, the retina itself doesn't have any pain receptors.
Okay.
So the place where the light is being focused and doing the burning,
It's not telling anybody.
It's not telling anybody. It's a secret.
Yeah.
It's a secret death.
It has no mouth, but it must scream.
So you can stare theoretically at the sun as long as you want, and you won't notice anything is wrong until a few hours or a few days later, when you notice that there's like a smudge in your vision that you can't blink away. Colors sometimes look off. Straight lines can appear bent. And some people do recover over the span of weeks or months, depending on how bad the damage is. But some people are just stuck with it. And there's really from the research I did, there's really nothing that can be done there's no treatment.
Yeah, no, eyeballs, I think it's like a one and done.
It's just sort of like if your body bounces back, if your eyes bounce back, they bounce back. If they don't, that's it.
That's it. You look at a life of jagged lines now, buddy.
Yeah.
That's probably why we have eyelids. That and to help us sleep.
Wait, how about you run this theory by me, Ed? We have eyelids. Why?
Yeah, it's that way you don't burn up your retinas.
What, looking at the sun?
Yeah, well, you can close your eyes.
That might be one reason we have eyelids.
I feel like lids are at least 100,000 times darker than sunglasses.
Well, yes, they're skin and folds, or
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the scientific term for the folds.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think they also have evolved because the eyelid is what keeps your eyes clean. It's what helps moisturize them.
I'm just throwing lids a bone here.
Look, I hate to be such a contrarian. You're suggesting a lot of ideas about eyes that I actually can't tell you if you're right or wrong.
Well,
so.
the problem is that every week you should bring up another like Greek guy who has the craziest ideas about
So listen,
midichlorians
women
or
have
whatever.
a secret eye
Yeah,
in
and
the
you
back
have no
of their
problem
head.
with their shit. But when I say maybe lids are to keep the sun out, all of a sudden I'm a big idiot.
So one of the reasons I keep saying I want to talk about these glasses is because after the 2017 eclipse,
People counterfeited them.
doctors at the Eye and Ear Infirmary at Mount Sinai in New York examined a 26-year-old woman named Nia Payne who had glanced at the partial eclipse over the city for what she described as, quote, a few seconds.
Okay.
Within hours, her central vision was distorted and dark. And when doctors used a fancy imaging technique to actually photograph the layer of cells at the back of her eye, they found a burn shaped like a crescent.
Oh.
The exact shape of the partially eclipsed sun over New York City was burned into the back of her retina like a film negative.
That's sick.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna lose your vision, that's a pretty fucking cool way to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
a cool discovery to be made.
I put the actual picture in the show notes, so if you want to see
It's like
what
a
it looks
picture of
like,
a retina.
they somehow photographed her retina or
Okay.
scanned it or whatever, and you can tell it does look like an eclipse. You're looking at the sun being eclipsed. And I know this all seems like, oh, come on, girl, don't be stupid. You looked at the sun, blah blah blah. The thing that is potentially really good for people to learn on this podcast is that the damage that she experienced on her retina was likely not from the few seconds of direct exposure that she had. It wasn't smart, obviously. Don't look directly at the sun. But after she looked away, she borrowed another bystander's glasses to look directly at it. And according to CNN, quote, doctors believe that the eclipse glasses Payne used were not up to international safety standards. The American Astronomical Society had warned that it had received alarming reports of potentially unsafe eclipse glasses flooding the market. Some bore a fake stamp to claim that the filters met the ISO 12312-2 standard.
I mean, I would like to quote The Simpsons here when they go to, there's like one of the great Simpsons sign gags. There's a do not enter sign, and it says do not enter. And then below it, like it tilts down or whatever, and it says, or do, I'm a sign, not a cop. And it's like for the same thing here. Like we have no way of confirming or there's no one doing anything about this.
I'd like to quote you from a few minutes ago when we saw the stamp that says it meets the requirements, and you said, I guess they could have just put that on there.
Well, that's a joke I had made.
But Medical King, I'm not saying Medical King is faking their glasses, but we have no way of knowing who Medical King is, if he's really a king, what he rules over.
Oh, let me ask the robot. Is Medical King a reputable company? Okay, stop. So,
Can you record that?
no, I could just tell people
Okay.
right now. So, we asked the Amazon robot about this brand Medical King, whom we won't slander. We can only just saying what we're just going to say
What Amazon told
what
us.
Amazon just told us. We asked if they're a reputable company, and it sounded like it was sad to tell us this.
Well, after a long pause.
Super long pause, probably just thinking.
It said,
It said Medical King has gone through some trouble in its career or something like that, right?
yes.
And that it
has faced some challenges.
It had faced some challenges and had some legal disputes.
Didn't say if it was about these glasses in particular.
For all we know, they make other weird broken shit.
But no, I think
I mean, my eyes are still here. I used it.
no, for sure. And look, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any one company or even saying that you shouldn't use these glasses, but I do think
It's from Ireland. That was a surprise.
You do have to be very careful when it comes to this stuff, especially in an era where, this last eclipse, everybody, I mean, I don't know, God knows how many millions upon millions upon millions of these glasses were sold off Amazon before that eclipse. According to the University of Michigan and a NASA analysis, the 2017 eclipse was the single most watched scientific event in American history. Something like 215 million American adults watched the eclipse.
How do they know?
In some form. I don't know. They did a study.
It's not like we know how many people viewed the moon landing on CBS or whatever. Like,
they did a study.
What, they go out and point? Look at that. That's like about 250 million out there.
They did one of those things where like the scientist poked his head out the window and took like a sample size. He's like, well, there's 50 people in this parking lot. And if we
extrapolate
say that's
from there,
10 square feet and the America is 600 gazillion square feet,
Yeah.
hey, like, I don't know, 215 million people. No, a lot of people watch this thing. And I'm just saying, when people are trying to fill the demand for products like this, it's
it's not enough 100,000 stopping film to go around.
Well,
maybe.
we don't know. It's just it's a very important medical device for a very specific moment, and you really want to make sure that it works.
Well, Medical King has faced challenges, and so I don't know if it's because of this. So
after the 2024 eclipse, scientists watched Google searches for the phrase, quote, "my eyes hurt," spike to their highest level in years.
Oh, wow.
Right at the moment of the eclipse, concentrated in exactly the states that the shadow patch passed over.
Wow, that's really funny.
Now, as we just said, solar retinopathy doesn't actually hurt. So
This could be people who have other problems.
who knows what these
are weed whacking issues.
Yeah, and I didn't look up like, can the sun damage other nerve endings in your eyeball itself that maybe people were experiencing or whatever. I don't know. But it was a remarked upon enough moment that literally a couple of papers were written about this particular moment, and the idea that we could use. It was one of the first times that I think scientists really rallied around the idea that, like, oh, we could actually use Google search trends to measure things that we otherwise might have trouble measuring.
Conspiracy theorists use it too.
They do,
to be like, who typed in this assassination attempt 4 days before the assassination?
Well, and you see it in UFO communities a lot now too. I'm not sure this would have been
I don't even know how to do that, by the way. I don't even know how to look up other people's searches.
I did it once because I looked up Scared All the Time to see where it was most searched. And concerningly, Google told me that no one had ever searched for it.
That makes sense.
Which I don't think is true because I've searched for it.
Doesn't
so
count you.
I'm not sure what...
Doesn't count the IP address it's originated from.
I'm sure your mom or somebody at least has searched it once. Someone searched Scared All the Time.
Everybody go out there and search for it, please.
But yeah, no, you see that search thing in the UFO community too, because sometimes when a new piece of evidence or something gets dropped, people will go back and look at the Google search trends for when like code words or like if it's called like Operation Backwoods or whatever, they'll go like, okay, well, if this was actually a secret document that no one ever had seen until this day,
why would someone search for that?
Right.
3 weeks earlier.
They'll be like, yeah, oh, look, it seems like right here,
Yeah, well, it's from the people who make cigarillos or whatever, those small backwoods cigars.
I don't think there is actually an Operation Backwoods.
There should be. There should be. If Backwoods wants to be sponsored, one of our sponsors, we'll take up smoking them.
So, like I said a little earlier, eye pain was the least of our ancestors' concerns when it came time for a total solar eclipse and they looked up and the sun would disappear. In fact, if we were to get into a time machine that we definitely do not own.
Don't have it. I also have a theory that all time machines can only be used once.
Elaborate?
Just a funnier way to look at it.
Okay, all right.
Just because you'd have to it's just an inherently selfish way to use time travel. If you can only use it once, you're going to go do the thing you want to do. You're not going to be like, anyone who gets in a time machine, in my mind, has to be like, sorry, 9/11, I'm never going to tell anyone about you. Like, sorry, Hitler's going to still exist because I'm going to go see a dinosaur. If it's you, you're like, I'm going to go see a triceratops or whatever.
Well, okay, but hold on. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I got to pause you there for a second to say, first of all, there are very few people who would step into a one-time use time machine. You have to be very sure.
You can come back.
What do you mean? Oh, it's not just literally a one. I thought when you said one-time use, I thought you meant you can just go forward or backward and you can't come back to the present day.
Yeah, no, you can come back.
Okay,
It's just you only get one ride.
Right.
And that's it.
So Ed already used our time machine to go back.
To erase our Google search history, which unfortunately erased everyone also searching for us.
No, Ed's lying. He went to the grand opening of the first Hooters. He wanted to be there and see what all the fuss was about.
There's plenty of parking in Clearwater for time machines.
He didn't even get a number after all that.
What does that mean? I don't know. You know, it's not why I go to Hooters.
Well, my point is, if you were to get in the time machine that you already used and go culture by culture all the way around the planet to people who had no contact with each other, separated by oceans and centuries, and ask them, hey, what's happening when the sun disappears over here? You'd basically get the same answer over and over and over and over again, which is something's eating it. That seemed to be the answer in pretty much every culture.
Is that because eclipses look like Reese's commercials? Like taking a bite out of something?
That's a long way around the block, but yes, sort of, yes. It looks, if you watch the moon move in front of the sun, it seems like it's disappearing bit by bit. Now, it's a very smooth way of eating something, I guess, if the negative space is just growing and not chunks coming out. But
we'll get there.
Back then, they knew you couldn't look at it directly, so they're just looking at the ripple in the water going, oh no, it keeps going away. In ancient China, the oldest word for a solar eclipse was shi, S-H-I-H, which literally means to eat, because they believed the sun was being eaten. And what they believed was eating it was a great celestial dragon. And the correct response, according to Chinese lore, was not to cower and scream and tell your family to look away and it'll all be over soon, which is probably what I would be doing. Ed, what do you think the ancient Chinese did when the dragon came to eat the sun?
There's no right answer here.
There's no wrong answer either.
Okay, I'm thinking put my Chinese hat on.
Well, don't put that on camera.
Getting their affairs in order?
No. The people, when they saw the dragon come and eat the sun, they wanted to make the dragon spit it back out. So they would run into the streets and bang drums, clatter pots and pans, shoot arrows into the sky, make generally as much of a scene.
It's the opposite of getting your affairs in order.
They didn't want to get their affairs in order because they wanted to live, damn it. They wanted to survive the sun being eaten, and so they would scare the dragon off. There are accounts of this sort of noise-making response lasting into the modern era. Even technically this was a lunar eclipse, but the Imperial Chinese Navy reportedly fired cannons at an eclipse as late as the 19th century to try to get the dragon to spit it back out.
I sure hope they did it over the water. Not just landing on people's fucking houses.
I would assume it was the Navy. I mean, I guess they could have been really close to shore, but, you know. My favorite piece of Chinese eclipse lore is the oldest known reference to an eclipse dating from between 2159 and 1948 BC. So that's a large space. I'm not sure exactly why that window's so big, but
yeah, what the fuck?
My favorite piece of Chinese eclipse lore is the oldest known reference to an eclipse. This story dates from somewhere between a very large window of 2159 and 1948 BC. I'm not quite sure why that window is so large, but it's a piece of lore, so who knows how well recorded it is anywhere. It's also probably not true, but it is something that feels like is the scared all the time way of doing business a little bit. So it's this ancient story about two royal astronomers, one also named Shi, although HSI in this case, Shi and Ho, whose entire job was to predict eclipses so the emperor could organize the proper drum banging and arrow firing in advance.
If I was working here, and I'm sure they would not appreciate this commentary, but I'd be like, listen, guys, every time it comes, it gets eaten. Every time it leaves the sun. I think we're really overdue for just not banging and not doing nothing. And like, maybe it's fine. You know what I mean? I guess nobody wanted to risk that, but Like, if this guy is so interested, he's only interested in wanting to know when it's going to come again. I feel like I'd only want to know if it's going to come again if we had failed in the past. And they've never failed.
Right.
Not once have they been unsuccessful in getting the sun out of the dragon.
Well, I think that's maybe what these guys recognize, because instead of predicting this particular eclipse, the story goes that they got blackout drunk, completely failed to predict the eclipse, and the dragon came for the sun while the whole kingdom was caught unprepared.
Like how they were caught every other previous time.
No, they had just figured out a system. She and Ho were supposed to be warning people.
No, what I'm saying, but they're only trying to figure out a system now. There was a million years they didn't have any system in place.
That's true. But I'm sure the people still ran out into the streets and banged the drums and fired the arrows and were able to chase the dragon off this time. But unfortunately for Shi and Ho, for their dereliction of duty, they were executed, which is what you would do to me or I would do to you if we ever forgot to post an episode. So,
yeah, but I'm like, the episode actually wouldn't come out if we didn't do it.
That's true. The sun would
Will
come out. Again.
To quote Annie.
To quote Little Orphan Annie.
That beaten down orphan.
So it's basically the same story everywhere. Across the world.
I imagine it would be.
Just with a local monster swapped in. So instead of a Chinese dragon, in Norse mythology, the sun is being chased across the sky forever by a wolf, and an eclipse is the moment that the wolf finally catches it and takes a bite. The implication there being that someday, at the end of the world, the wolf will swallow the sun for good.
So Coyote versus Roadrunner.
Yes, a less interesting cartoon, but a similar situation. In Vietnam, I love this one. It's a giant frog or a toad, the pet of a lord of the heavens, that gets loose and gobbles up the sun, and people there would bang on their rice mortars to make it cough the sun back up. In Korea, it's fire dogs.
Yeah, I'm starting to have another question about this.
Yes.
Prior to Heimlich doing the maneuver he figured out,
Uh-huh.
did everyone choking on things we just banged shit in front of until they spit it up? Because it seems like there's 1,000 years of written records being like, this is the response.
Yes. Well, I'm sure they would have loved to have physically rescued the physical sun from the sky gods, but that was a little bit out of the technological reach of the people of the time.
What I'm hearing is you don't know, and I could absolutely be right, that was, until probably 70 years ago, the way we handled people choking.
Just shouting and throwing
You
things.
shout and you bang things, and then like 99% of the time they die from choking, but you gave it your best.
Well, when we do an episode on choking, I will look up the history of how food was removed from the throats of choking victims.
It was probably more like hiccup lore for a long time. You got to scare it out of them.
Someone grabbing at their throat, they can't breathe, and the whole village is around them just going like,
Blue, yeah, you gotta spook them.
In Korea, it's fire dogs eating the sun, sent by the king of a realm of perpetual darkness to steal the sun and moon, but the sun is too hot to hold and the moon is too cold, so the dogs always have to drop them, and the eclipse is the bite mark left on the sun or the moon.
Got you. Too hot to handle, too cold to hold.
Exactly.
It's from the Ghostbusters song.
That's a great pin. Although I guess if it's from the Ghostbusters song.
It's from the Ghostbusters 2 rap.
Right. Well, we'll see what we can get away with.
Okay.
In Hindu tradition, the culprit is sick. It's the severed head of a demon named Rahu who snuck a sip of the nectar of immortality and got decapitated for it mid-swallow. So now his immortal flying head chases the sun and the moon and swallows them in revenge, except he's just a head. So he has no throat and they always slide right back out.
That is a ridiculous life.
That's a fucking great
I mean,
myth.
it's killer, but I'm saying, that's wild.
That's a great one. And it means your people don't have to do anything. It slides right back out.
Slides right out.
It slips.
Everybody sleeps through the night there. No banging and clanging.
I'm kind of surprised, honestly. The Hindus got there pretty quickly. They were like, Rahu, he eats all this shit. It comes right back out. I'm pretty surprised that no one else seemed to. I mean, it's not like every other person and animal they ever witnessed didn't poop or pee out everything else they ate. So one would think another culture would have gotten to.
Even if they're committed to it is an eating situation.
Yes.
They're in every scenario, there's a passive way around this. Like, we don't need to participate in whatever this is.
You would think.
Yeah.
But
the
no.
Hindus figured it out.
But no, the Hindus figured it out.
I feel like they had some other good shit in other episodes you listened to as well.
I think our Going to Hell episode.
Going to Hell, they had like a vibe.
Yeah.
Or just a cool one.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't a vibe. It's Going to Hell. Probably not a
Yeah,
vibe. But I feel like a couple times we've raised one eyebrow to the Hindu stuff, being like, this is cool.
Even in North America, you get basically a version of the same legend. The Pomo of California have a name for solar eclipse that translates roughly to the sun got bit by a bear.
Okay.
And the Choctaw believed it was a mischievous black squirrel taking bites out of the sun, and they had the same fix as the Chinese. You make noise, you scare it off. I don't know if they still do this, but I found a National Geographic article from 2013 in which E.C. Krupp, then the director of the Griffith Observatory here in L.A.,
Yeah.
says that, and this is for lunar eclipses, but he says he orchestrates a modern-day version of these efforts to chase the sky creature away. He dons a wizard's outfit and leads the public on a march in front of the observatory while banging pots and pans to chase away whatever's eating the moon.
Well, that's kind of fun.
He notes we're always successful.
I bet. You have a 100% success rate. Have you ever been to a star party up there? It's really fun.
I haven't.
When Felix gets older, you should take him.
Yeah.
Right now, it's gonna be lost in his dumb little head, but like, it's fucking cool. It's
Yeah.
If people don't know, I'm sure they do this all over the country, over the world. I'm sure you can find it in maybe wherever you live. But it's where like a bunch of amateur astronomers who have like dope shit, not like the crummiest telescope you've ever seen, like stuff that's way out of your price range.
Yeah.
And they just use the lawn of the Griffith Observatory, and they set up their telescopes to interesting things, and anyone can walk up and be like, hey, can I look through your telescope? And they usually tell you to come look through your telescope, and they'll tell you what it's on.
Oh, that's cool.
And I like went up, this is probably 15 years ago, and I was like, oh, what am I looking at? You know, and it was like, oh, it's Saturn. And I was like, it fucking really is, huh? Like you to see the ring and everything. It's like
surprising
really,
you had to ask. Or I guess you asked before you
I
looked.
went up. Yeah, but I was like, because it didn't look like size of a fucking medieval, like it didn't look like a giant. It was like a regular size telescope, not much bigger than a regular size telescope. Yeah. I didn't think I'd be looking pretty clearly at a fucking planet.
Yeah.
Right now, you know, it was like hazy because of the atmosphere, but
telescopes are really impressive pieces of technology, considering the system of mirrors and lenses that makes them work has basically been the same.
Yeah.
We've just developed better glass and better mirrors, but the actual physics of how you're able to see that far is the same as it's always been.
And if you gave me a telescope in 100 years, I would never be able to find like a planet. I feel like looking through that little hole, like, you know, if it's sky's so big, but these guys know what they're doing.
I could see you being like, there's so much to look at up there. God damn it.
Yeah, it was, I can't be trusted with it. But yeah, star parties. I'm sure if you type in like the name of your town and star party, unless it has that term's been co-opted in a way I'm unfamiliar with. I'm sorry if I steer you in the wrong direction.
Someone's going to end up somewhere where they're like, damn, everyone's naked. What's going on?
But 15 years ago, a star party is you can go and amateur astronomers could show you cool ass stuff.
Let me lay this one on you. This is the last and my favorite eclipse legend, although Rahu is pretty fucking up there. But this one is a slightly different flavor that I think is heartwarming in a show about fears. This legend comes from the Bata Maliba people in West Africa. And in their myth, the sun and the moon are fighting during an eclipse. And instead of banging pots and pans to scare them away, the people come together to resolve old feuds and anger as a way of encouraging the sun and the moon to do the same.
Love it.
So, yeah, when there's an eclipse, I don't know if it happens the moment of the eclipse, but the idea is it's like a little tradition. When the eclipse happens, it's a good time to put feuds aside.
Yeah, that's fucking cool. I really enjoyed my time in West Africa. Everyone was cool as shit there.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, Star Party era.
It's the Star Party era of Ed.
Now, that was 2012? Yeah, that was a good time.
Interestingly, this trick has worked the other way at least once. Instead of us getting the sun and the moon to stop fighting, the sun and the moon have frightened us into stopping a war. This happened in 585 BC in what's now Turkey. Two empires, the Lydians and the Medes, had been grinding through a war for years with no end in sight. Kind of one of those old wars where I don't know all the details, but I think it was just sort of like...
There's a lot of like 100-year wars back then.
Yeah, it's my land. No, it's my land. No, we're going to sacrifice generations of children to find out whose land it really is.
Yeah.
One day, their armies are lined up against each other, mid-battle, swords out, and the sky just goes completely dark. Day turns into night right on top of them. And according to the Greek historian Herodotus, who wrote the story down just a couple of generations later, both armies were so completely freaked out by the sun vanishing that they just stopped fighting. They interpreted, or I'm sure at least their leaders, interpreted the eclipse as the gods basically telling them to knock it off, and more or less negotiated a peace deal on the spot.
If I was the leader, I'd be like, "Did you see that? We did that. And we're going to do it again if you fucking don't give up."
This is why it's dangerous. This is why I'm glad you broke the time machine, because you would be too dangerous with one.
Too dangerous, man. I'd be bringing big brain ideas like that to the battlefield.
There's an apocryphal legend that, was it Christopher Columbus convinced a tribe that he was a god because he boiled an egg?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a story, I think it's Christopher Columbus, or maybe it was Magellan or something, but that and I'm sure the story is probably not true, but the story goes that they were in danger, or they were concerned about how they were being received, and so they boiled an egg. And when you boil the egg, you can stand it upright in water, I think. Is that how it works with now I can't remember.
I don't play with them after.
I have to cut this. But he did something where he boiled an egg, and they were like, "Holy shit," because of the way the egg acted afterwards. That's what you would do with an eclipse.
No, do you remember Mitsubishi Eclipse, the car? Does that come up in this?
No.
That'd be cool if I brought my Mitsubishi Eclipse to this battlefield.
It would be cool.
I'm revving a bunch, telling them I did that.
It would be cool if you were podcasting from a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Honestly, I don't even know where you'd find one now, but I'm sure they all cost $1 billion, like everything.
Instead of bringing us each a pair of sunglasses, you should have brought us each a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Would have been nice.
Well, if any fans want to send us an Eclipse, I think the mailbox might accept it. The mailbox place.
Anyway, Herodotus also tells us that this event had been foretold by Thales the Milesian, who forewarned the Ionians of it, fixing it for the very year in which it actually took place. The Medes and the Lydians, when they observed the change, ceased fighting and were alike anxious to have terms of peace agreed on. So, while the fact that these two armies stopped fighting because of an eclipse is pretty crazy, the other little fact buried in there is actually even crazier.
But a guy predicted it?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's true, and there's a lot of debate as to whether or not it's true, but if it's true that Thales actually predicted this eclipse, it would be one of the earliest moments in history where a human being looked at the sky, did some math, and called a celestial event in advance.
Yeah, but all that shit's so wild to me. Like, you know, they have like also the Griffith Observatory. They have that like statue out front that's got like 4 different famous scientists. Like Galileo's there and Ptolemy or whomever. Mm-hmm. And I feel like all these people were doing shit a million years from each other, using like, not a million, you know what I'm saying? Like a big gap of time. And like using like totally like one person's heliocentric and one person's whatever. And they were still like dead on about shit, even though they were using like completely different methods to get there. And it's just always so surprising and interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine a lot of the theorizing and science that was done across those generations, a lot of the science that was successful probably did build on at least the pieces that were accurate. Whether or not everyone knew that those were the accurate pieces, I would imagine the stuff that worked the best was the stuff that built on the accurate parts. But
it's just weird that they're like, your prediction's dead on, but everything you're saying is wrong. Where it's like, well, the Earth flies around, it takes 64 days for a month and blah, blah, blah. And like, there's still predictions are dead on, but everything they said leading up to that was like observably false once we got better ways to observe things.
Right.
But I don't know how they did it. The Matrix, I guess.
Probably, yeah. Psychics, aliens, the Matrix, what have you. Mm-hmm. We live in a simulation. But yeah, so if he actually called this, many people who believe that he did refer to the prediction itself as the birth of science. because it literally is one of the earliest examples we have of somebody essentially doing science or observing a scientific method or observing the natural world around them enough to go, okay, I know when that is coming.
But does that person work for either of these teams that we're fighting?
No, those are the people who named it the birth of science. I think it's a colloquial term for.
No, I'm saying like this guy though.
Oh,
Was he in Turkey or whatever? Was he part of these two groups?
well,
Or was he just somewhere else who just happened to have called it as well?
We know that he warned the Ionians.
But were the Ionians even fighting in that battle?
I
thought that was the Medes and
the
fucking,
Lydians.
Yeah,
But I don't know if maybe one of those is a subgroup of the Ionians or the Ionians.
I don't know. I've seen enough Hollywood blockbusters about a science being laughed out of the room from world leaders in the first act, and then saving world leaders in the third act. So I'm sure this guy was just laughed out of the room.
Probably. We do know. So he didn't write down, a day that he said it's going to happen.
He said the year.
Well, we know what year it happened, and we actually know what day it happened because we can run the astronomy backwards. It's actually the oldest historical event that we can pin to a specific calendar date because we can run it backwards and find that the date of this eclipse was May 28th, 585 BC. Now, we have no surviving record of Thales or anybody else saying...
Yeah, but if there's repetition to these events, then you can just run it back. You
Yes.
can technically run it back even farther than that. I bet you it happened even another time.
I'm saying it's easy for us to run back. We can't... Running it back didn't confirm that Thales was correct or incorrect because he left no record of a day that he said it would happen. We just know that,
I thought it said that he did.
Herodotus said that he'd predicted it.
Yeah, but I thought he predicted it for that year. Just in that year, there'd be one.
Yes, but we don't know if he predicted it for the day, and I don't know that we actually know that Thales did this, or if this is just something that Herodotus claims that Thales did.
Sure.
So it
could be like these eclipse sunglasses. This could just be claims that they have real fucking protect your eye sheets in them.
Exactly, because it really would be pretty easy for Thales after the eclipse to have been like, oh yeah, I predicted that.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a record there was.
I wrote it down. It blew away.
Anyway, predicted or not, I just love thinking of an ancient solar eclipse as basically the world's scariest ceasefire. It's frightened hundreds, if not thousands of men into no longer having a war, which is pretty great. In ancient Mesopotamia, which it was like Assyria and Babylon, now it's Iraq.
Birthplace of civilization.
Eclipses were scary for an entirely different reason that also prompted an entirely different and insane result.
I hope it's agricultural.
It's not.
Oh, well, you hope for a lot of things you don't get, so.
Mesopotamian priests and astrologers were very good at this. They had an entire complicated system of omens, and a solar eclipse was one of the most dangerous omens. They were pretty good at predicting them. Under the right conditions, they believed that if this solar eclipse rolled around at the right time of year over the right part of the kingdom or whatever, it meant that the king was going to die. According to the Met, quote, ancient Mesopotamian astronomers had developed the knowledge to accurately predict eclipses with a high degree of precision. Once an eclipse was predicted and the area in which it would appear had been identified, the court and the priests took action. Ed, could you please guess what action they took?
Get all the pots and pans together to bang.
No.
We got a hungry celestial coming.
No, they found a pretty genius loophole. A loophole that I feel like you would probably come up with.
I'm always thinking of loopholes.
Since the omen, they figured, is going to kill the king, that's fine. They couldn't uneclipse the sky, but they could go get a different king. So they would take some guy, sometimes a prisoner, sometimes a criminal, sometimes just a local unlucky person, and they would put that guy on the throne as a temporary substitute king.
But does that person always die, or is it just in case?
So this
eclipses don't rain daggers.
Well, I think they were afraid that they were gonna. Now, this guy didn't have to look like the real king. He did have to be a man. Quote, After he was selected, he was dressed in the king's garments, declared to be the king, and made to participate in other rituals investing him with royal identity. He was also given a young woman as a queen.
Don't love this.
After this, the true king withdrew from public view until danger had passed. And there's actually, I didn't write the whole thing down for the episode, but in my research, I found that there's some letters from ancient Mesopotamia that have been found, or references to letters where people were writing to the farmer, but archaeologists believe that that was actually like a code name for the king while he was in hiding if anyone needed to communicate with him.
Oh, because he still had to do like kingly like he still had matters at hand to
He
address.
may have, yeah. If they ever
can't have this fucking court jester they put a crown on to be making important decisions for the kingdom.
Yes. So this quote continues.
He's like Dave from the movie Dave.
Yes, it is very much like Dave. The substitute king and queen were offered as sacrifices for the evil fate that was destined for the true king, taking it on themselves while he was safely hidden.
I hope it's just in case.
No.
So they were like, we better fulfill this just in case, to make the moon happy or whatever, the sun happy.
Yes. The substitute king and the true king coexisted only briefly, because once the dangerous eclipse had passed, the substitute king and queen were killed, the true king reemerged, and the ritual was complete. The king was safe.
I feel like that lady got the shittiest end of the stick.
Yeah,
at least he got to be king for a day. She just got to be abused and then thrown into a pit.
More when you put it that way, yeah, it sounds even worse. But
yeah,
yeah,
that was the unluckiest person in the village.
We do know that I mean, when I first read this, I thought this was going to be one of those things that I did a little digging, and it's like, well, we think maybe, but no, there's over 30 references to this ritual in letters to Assyrian kings, including the farmer thing that I mentioned.
So agriculture did come back.
Yes, that's true.
I think it's like the birthplace of farming and stuff, Mesopotamia. That's why.
Well, except
it's the cradle of civilization and like the birthplace of farming.
unless we believe that Göbekli Tepe was actually the birth of grain farming and production.
I don't remember what episode that's in. Did that even air yet?
That was music festivals. That was not last week, but the last main episode.
All right, fuck, I won't bring it up.
According to that same article in the Met, this did work out for the substitute exactly once. This is the most Dave-like part of the story. Era Emiti, king of the city-state of Isin in southern Iraq from 1868 to 1861 BC, did this whole ritual. He was the king. They brought in a substitute who was a gardener. And while the substitute was sitting on the throne waiting for the eclipse to come, Era Emiti died after apparently what is reported as sipping a porridge that was too hot.
Too poisoned.
Yeah, no one knows exactly what went down there, but he died from this porridge while the substitute was alive.
Could you imagine if that happened to Goldilocks and then these bears come home and they just have a dead kid in their house, and it's like a way shittier situation, weirdly, than like someone sleeping in your bed.
Yeah. Like, oh no.
Oh, fuck, man. Like, the last thing we need is a little dead girl in here. The fucking cops are going to be all over the woods soon.
In this case, the cops just said, hey, man.
You're the king. I mean, he was sworn in.
Yes, he was. The gardener was sworn in as a substitute king. His name was Enlil Bani, and he continued to rule Isin for about another 20 years until he died from apparently natural causes.
Do you think he's like was good king or he sucked?
I don't know. I don't know if we have...
That's just like, what a bummer if that guy just sucked.
It's also, what's the Peter Sellers movie where he plays the gardener who becomes president? Putney Swope?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Pink Panther?
No, not Pink Panther. So this idea that the eclipse means a king is about to drop dead did not stay in Mesopotamia necessarily. It over the course of history, it shows up all over the place. One of the most famous stories of an eclipse that was said to have killed a king
was in Game of Thrones.
Was it?
I have no idea.
No.
But that sounds like some shit they do in that fake world.
Probably. It happened in the real world too, though. In 1133 in England, King Henry I is on the throne. And there is a long total eclipse over the country, somewhere around 4.5 minutes of complete darkness. And people, it seems like, basically lose their fucking minds. One writer described the eclipse with 4 words that kind of make a perfect little horror poem. Miserabilis, horribilis, nigra, mirabilis.
I'm sorry, that's a poem. That's a fucking spell in Harry Potter.
It's the 4 words that mean wretched, horrifying, black, remarkable.
Was he paying by the word?
No, he wasn't paid very much.
No, I'm saying, was he paying by the word to use the pen?
Maybe.
Like, why the fuck, man? Just write a little bit more.
He's like, I got to get this down fast. Maybe he thought they were all going to die. I don't know.
Oh.
Sure enough, King Henry did drop dead, and this became known as the eclipse that either predicted or killed him. But in reality,
Porridge.
it took 2 years for him to die. So this was a very slow-acting king curse, if it was in fact.
Sure.
The legend got printed in this case.
Probably more than 4 words.
Still, historian William of Malmesbury was quoted as saying that the eclipse's, quote, hideous darkness agitated the hearts of men. Shortly after King Henry's death, the country was thrown into chaos and a civil war brewed.
What would some of these people think? I understand the idea of the sun turns off is what makes it shocking.
Mm-hmm.
But what would some of these people, if they were transported from medieval England, where the fuck time period this was, and sent to Alaska or something, where it's 30 days of night or 30 days of just the sun won't stop? Is that equally as terrifying if you're not expecting it?
I think so.
I would think so.
I mean, sailors must have, obviously the Vikings must have experienced some of that.
Yeah.
The Inuit experienced some of it. But I'm sure, if you were just coming up from, I don't know, Mesopotamia or something, and you went above whatever line on the Arctic Circle where that starts happening, I'm sure you think it's like an enchanted land or something.
Especially if you're the first people there's no one around.
Yeah.
Someplace that had been abandoned, what have you, and you're just well, this is great. Every day the sun goes down, every day the fucking moon comes out, and it's like that for the first however many months we've been living here in our little tents.
Yeah, I still think it's scary. We know why it happens, and I feel like if I went and experienced something like that,
we should do it. We should do midnight. I've always wanted to go. Not always want to go, but it's interesting to do a midnight baseball game or something.
Mm-hmm.
But we can do a midnight live show on the beach.
That'd
You know
be
what I
fun.
mean?
I'd do it. And then I'll wrap this section up by talking about my favorite Eclipse Killed the King story, because this one is both 100% true and kind of a tragedy of competence, if you think about it. So there was a guy, my history of Southeast Asia is basically non-existent, so I'd never heard of this guy, but there was a King Rama of Siam.
Oh, you never heard of Rama of
Sorry.
Siam, bro?
There was a King Rama of Siam, which is modern-day Thailand.
Okay.
And he was a genuinely fascinating guy for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is that he was the real-life inspiration for the musical The King and I.
Oh, all gentlemen.
It's basically his story. It's basically his story. I don't think he looked much like Yul Brynner.
Okay.
But, it was his story. He also spent decades studying astronomy in an effort to modernize his kingdom. And in 1868, he correctly predicted a total eclipse down to the exact location, beating European astronomers at their own game. He was so proud of himself that he organized a whole expedition out to this remote spot to watch his prediction come true, which it did. They experienced a total eclipse with nearly 7 minutes of totality, so almost as long
as it gets.
Almost as long as it gets. But while King Rama was out there chasing his eclipse, he was bit by a mosquito, probably lots of mosquitoes, and one or more than one of them gave King Rama malaria, and he died a few weeks later.
Oh, my God.
So this is the one case where an eclipse really did sort of kill a king, even though it had a little help.
Do you think Alanis Morissette cut a verse about this out of ironic?
Alanis, if you're listening, let's re-record that song. It's a great song. I normally wouldn't give you notes, but I think this is a really unique opportunity that you're looking at.
And this guy's life, as we've learned, lends itself to songs.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. R.I.P. God bless King Rama. You were too good at your job.
Too good.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately, when you get focused on one thing, there are blind spots about other things like mosquitoes and disease.
Yeah.
So
at this point in our society, in modern day, you'd think that we would be well past the panic over eclipses and doomsday prophecies and sky gods. We've known what causes eclipses since 5th century BC in Greece, when the philosopher Anaxagoras sought to understand and describe eclipses through an understanding of physics and the natural world. This is the guy who proposed that rainbows were a phenomenon of sunlight bending in rain instead of being caused by the goddess Iris. So he was pretty sharp.
Okay.
He figured out what a rainbow was.
Yeah, and he didn't. This is long before the Bible.
Yeah.
So it's not that like Noah was given after Noah's flood, God gave us a rainbow.
Did God teach Noah what a rainbow is?
I don't think he taught Noah, but after the flood,
Yeah.
there was a rainbow. And God was like, let this rainbow, I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah.
let this rainbow be like a thing that, let this rainbow signify that I'm no longer going to send floods.
Oh.
Like, let this rainbow be like my gift to you in a personification of
Sure.
like, this represents I'm done flooding you guys.
Interesting. I forgot that part of the story, but now that you mention it, that does sound very familiar.
Yeah, and I forgot what the word would be. It's not a pact, but
So Anaxagoras figured it out, long before, well, not technically before Noah, I guess after Noah, but he figured it out. He figured it out before we read the story of Noah and the rainbow.
okay.
Anyway, today Anaxagoras is known as the first person to correctly explain eclipses were just the sun casting the shadow of the moon upon the earth. But for this, what would have seemed like almost divine knowledge at this point, the Athenians took him to trial and charged him with sacrilege, and he was sent into exile for the rest of his life.
Yeah, I think some of those guys on the lawn of Griffith Observatory were sent to prison for no reason, too.
Galileo,
Yep.
most famously. It is interesting that they seem to be cool with him explaining rainbows, but explaining the eclipse was like a bridge too far.
That's a bridge too
They were
far.
like, no, sir.
A rainbow bridge too far.
The world obviously eventually came around to Anaxagoras' way of thinking, but eclipses are such a powerful event that even though we're past the drums and the dragons, they can still provoke panic and fear in the hearts and minds of modern humans. One tragic example can be found in the American West in 1878. To give us a little perspective here, CNN tells us that, quote, at the time, the United States was trying to reinforce its reputation for science on the global stage during Restoration after the Civil War. Pioneers were carving out a life in the Western territories. Women were looking to get the vote. We were modernizing. Scientists knew that an eclipse was going to cross over the Wild West that year, and the event attracted a variety of the era's finest scientific minds.
Buffalo Bill.
I don't know if
Calamity Jane. I'm sorry, Dr. Buffalo Bill.
These are-
Dr. Calamity Jane.
These are just other characters from another musical that you're remembering.
yeah, but I
think.
can imagine these are also the types of people who'd be like, throw a lab coat on her. We're now going to take this show on the road on a new direction.
Charge everyone $5 to come witness it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we've been making money. There's no reason to stop making money. Did you drive by the circus last night, by the way?
Me?
2 days ago when we were driving back from the failed attempt to sell the car, and there was a circus on our left, a giant circus in like North Hollywood or something.
Oh, yes, I did.
That's not normally there.
No.
So it's always weird to see a circus tent
I
in
was
any era.
so mad.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
I
know.
wasn't paying much attention to what was on
But
the
it
side
is
of the road.
it is weird to see a circus tent just at a place you know there's not normally a circus tent.
Right, it's very
always exciting.
Very something wicked this way comes.
Yeah.
Has that always been there?
Yeah, it's scary.
Why are there so many crows sitting on it? No, so scientists knew that this eclipse was coming, and it drew a lot of people, including astronomer and Vassar College professor Maria Mitchell, who shepherded a group of female
Is that where
astronomers.
Jen went?
Yeah.
Sick.
Shout out Vassar. Maria Mitchell shepherded a group of female astronomers to the frontier armed with telescopes to study the eclipse. James Craig Watson, an astronomer, a discoverer of comets and minor planets, was determined to verify that the, quote, intramercurial planet Vulcan existed, hidden by the sun and just waiting to be discovered during an eclipse.
This is maybe the dumbest question I've ever asked.
Yeah, it won't be the last.
So if it's difficult to see stars at night because of light pollution from the ground, can you see more stars? All the lights are off during the day, and
Yeah.
now suddenly the sky turns dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you pointed a telescope during these 4 to 7 minutes, like is that gonna open up a view of stars you maybe wouldn't normally see from this location because suddenly it's like so dark?
I mean, the stars do become brighter during the day when an eclipse happens because that source of light is being removed, so your eye is able to pick up those softer sources of light. I don't know what it does to a telescope. I'm sure, at least by this point in the scientific journey, people were trying to figure out if that would work. I kind of interpret this to mean that that's what he was doing. It was hidden by when he says hidden by the sun, I assume he means the brightness of the sun, not hidden behind the sun.
Well, that's what got me there. That's what got me to that question.
Spoiler alert, Vulcan did not exist. He was not able to find it. And even Thomas Edison made the journey, eager to prove that his new device, the tassimeter, could measure temperature.
You're going to say his new device, light?
No.
He was like, oh, you guys worried about the 5 minutes of darkness? I got something for that.
This was actually before light. This was actually before his work on the light bulb. He had invented the tassimeter or the tassimeter that could measure temperature changes in the heat of the corona around the sun during the eclipse. Spoiler alert, again, it didn't work. So a lot of the people who were headed out to the west for this eclipse were stymied in their quest for answers. But at least they were interested in the science of the eclipse. Not everyone in the west was quite so focused on that part of the sun disappearing. Quote, on July 28, 1878, as the bright sky above Johnson County, Texas began to dim and then dim some more and finally go dark, people startled and stared, cried and prayed. One of these people, a sharecropper named Ephraim Miller, already with firm beliefs about the end of the world, was heard to say that if this was the last day, he planned to be, quote, so sound asleep that Gabriel's trumpet wouldn't wake him.
Okay. Famous angel, famous musician.
He then grabbed a hatchet, ran into his house, murdered his son with the hatchet to spare him the suffering of the apocalypse, then went up the stairs to the attic and cut his own throat. So there were still people being driven to religious madness by the effect of a solar eclipse, even in the mid to late 1800s.
Speaking of religious madness, or the idea of just repeating the same stories over and over again until it becomes gospel, you're in an interesting position because you've now researched eclipses, so you can look up when the next ones are going to be. And if it's not going to be for 150 years, you're in a position now where you can just raise Felix with some made-up thing about how, like, the Kalaris will take the throne again but like this procedure or thing needs to be done only under a full eclipse at this place on this day, and you have it, and then you just have him. He believes it so much that he tells his kids, and then they tell their kids, and they tell their kids, and then you're like, hundreds of years from now, it's so ingrained that the Kalari family needs to do this insane thing at the eclipse and this mountain at this thing. You won't be there, but it'd be amazing the acts that can go out from a goof, basically. Like, you can do this as a joke, and then if everyone's just committed to it, you can watch from heaven, probably hell, because you've done this. You can watch them, like, slaughter a whole town because the Kalari, is the only way to save the Kalari name.
Okay, I see where you went with that. I thought we were maybe going towards more, this would be a really funny multi-generational goof to make them jump through all these hoops, and then when the eclipse happens, nothing happens, and they're just disappointed.
No.
You're thinking that I should get them to...
No, they have to do something.
End a civilization.
Whatever it is.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can pick and choose what the thing they have to do is, but I do believe they'll do it if, like, 4 generations are told that they have to do it.
I also feel like this is where we should say that this is a bad idea. Definitely don't do this if you're listening to the podcast. I might do it. You can't stop me. But I don't want anyone else to do it because we could get in trouble. So please don't.
No, people will be in trouble hundreds of years from now.
That's true. We'll be gone.
We'll be gone.
You would think that today, okay, so 1878, you still have people butchering their families with an axe to keep them safe during the
Sons
apocalypse.
of Kalari, whatever the hell they're going to call themselves in 200 years.
But you would think that now, this deep into the 2020s, we're over eclipse panics. You would think you can Google what is an eclipse, and in 2 seconds, anybody concerned about the end of the world would be feeling a lot better. But
they actually can't get any results because the computing power that's so overwhelming of people Googling, why do my eyes hurt? At the exact same time, it slows
they can't
the
get
results.
an answer, and then they still end up butchering their whole family.
Yeah.
Bummer. Well, you'd think the doomsday stuff at this point would die, but it hasn't. It was just translated into the primary language of the 21st century, the conspiracy theory. As the 2024 eclipse was approaching, people noticed something that is actually a pretty cool coincidence. The path, if you lay the path of the 2017 eclipse over or under the path of the 2024 eclipse
that you completely ignored earlier.
I did not ignore it. We talked about it. You were just not paying any attention.
No, but I was talking. I mean, obviously, my glasses would have been for that, but you were like, "Oh, it's 26." I was like, "It feels like it was yesterday." Blah blah blah. Anyway,
if you laid the path of these two eclipses over each other, they make a big X over the middle of the United States. The center actually fell in southern Illinois, right near the New Madrid fault line, which is a fault responsible for 3 of the most powerful earthquakes in American history from 1811 to 1812.
wait, so the sun and the moon are trying to tell us something?
Well,
I'm on board.
A lot of people noticed that it made an X over the New Madrid fault, and people immediately started believing that, yes, the sun and the moon, or in many cases, God, is trying to tell us something, and we need to decipher what it is. So,
And the New Madrid fault is under the Earth. It's like under.
it's a fault line. Yeah, it's
fault
where
line.
2 plates meet each other.
And New Madrid is the name of the fault. It's not the name of the town in Illinois.
It's the name of the fault. There might be a New Madrid that it's named after, but
I'm saying is, do you think property values went up or down upon learning that X marks the spot and they're not going to find treasure there?
great question.
Or is it treasure? Is it treasure? Should we go?
Nobody thought of this. Hold on. Let me run.
X usually marks a spot for treasure.
Let me run you through what happened, and then we can discuss the treasure hunt, because you might be onto something that nobody else thought of here.
I'd love it.
So
Usually am.
a whole ecosystem of online prophecies took this X and ran straight into the sun with it. The claims piled up. The 2017 path crossed over 7 American towns named Salem, which means peace. And the 2024 path was going to cross 7 towns named Nineveh, the city the prophet Jonah was sent to warn. For some reason, this all meant that the eclipse was God literally drawing an X to mark America for judgment. And, quote, at least one person opined that these 2 solar eclipses are separated by 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days, and 6 minutes, which, besides not being completely accurate, ends up being 66666, which is 5 sixes.
Yeah, it's not
even 6 sixes.
Yeah.
Some people added 6 seconds to it, but everybody knew that was like clearly bullshit.
Yeah.
But yes, as somebody else pointed out, we were just talking about this in a different episode, or maybe it was a bonus episode, but when you do something like 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, 6 days, you're just kind of shifting around. You can make anything fit that, because you could say 6.5 years instead of 6 years, 6 months. Like, you're forcing it into a pattern.
Or just go by months, or just go by minutes.
Right. Yeah, you could go by 666 months if the years and the months don't line up or whatever.
Yeah.
In an unusual twist for this kind of religious prophetic madness, one of the most thorough debunkings of the X over America means the end times is coming stuff came from no less than a creationist astronomer, a guy who works for a Young Earth ministry, which, if you're unfamiliar with Young Earth, it's the idea that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, as claimed in the Bible. Or if you
dinosaur bones like the devil.
The dinosaur bones. The theory I heard growing up was that dinosaur bones were placed in the ground by God as a test to see if we would be able to discern that they were not real, because they didn't fit into the timeline of the young Earth creationism.
Seems pretty ridiculous. Seems like God's got better things to do.
You would think. I mean,
he's constantly putting people through trials. Old God, Old Testament God.
It could also have been a trick of the devil, putting the bones there to trick us.
The devil has that kind of power.
I mean, who knows?
I don't know what his bone budget is.
Probably high.
After the fall?
He's the devil. His blood budget and his bone budget is through the roof.
All right, fine. But
I've seen a picture of hell. There's a lot of fire, too.
Well, for a person who's most synonymous with red, usually when your ledger's in the red, you're pretty broke. So I don't know what he can do. That's a long walk, but we got there.
This is a guy who very much believes in biblical prophecy in general, and even his quote, my favorite quote of his at least, is, "There are many sources promoting the claim that this eclipse signals God's judgment on the United States. You may wonder how this could be, seeing that the United States is not clearly identified in Scripture. This claim is the product of extra biblical speculation that amounts to a Rorschach test." So in other words, anyone can see anything and anything, which I'd argue this guy probably does with
Pretty
scripture
regularly.
in other ways.
Yeah.
But good for him for stepping up
For
to
being
the
an
plate.
originalist when it comes to
The
fucking
Bible.
The Bible.
So I guess I want to wrap this episode up by saying that for as off base as a lot of these fears about eclipses are or were, I think the explanation as to why we have a innate fear of a total solar eclipse is buried way down in our reptile brains. Because if you ever have the chance to experience standing in the totality of an eclipse,
I don't think I'll have the money.
you may not, but if anybody else out there has or
Was already
will,
born where it's going to be.
or wants to, you know that it's a much weirder feeling than just it gets dark. There's a temperature drop associated with it. It drops fast, sometimes as much as 10 degrees. And right before the sun vanishes, there are these faint rippling bands of shadows that race across the ground called shadow bands that look kind of like if you look at the light at the bottom of a swimming pool. Scientists still to this day have no idea what causes the shadow bands.
Probably some sort of like atmospheric pressure thing or something. Or
Probably,
like
but-
when you look through a telescope and it's all wavy.
But it's still something that is weird that we don't fully understand why it happens. And animals know that something is wrong too. During the 2017 eclipse, there was a study at a zoo in South Carolina in which researchers watched 17 species during the eclipse, and the majority of them reacted to it, flipping straight into their nighttime routines in the middle of the afternoon. The giraffes, which apparently almost never run, started galloping.
Is that what they do at night?
I don't know.
Is that their nighttime routine?
I don't know that all of these things are nighttime.
okay.
Some of them did nighttime routines, like the gorillas started to get ready for bed. The giraffes started
Making
galloping.
tea.
The tortoises, of all things, began mating. The animals went crazy. They all kind of wigged out when the sun disappeared in the middle of the day.
It also sounds like this is all shit they do as soon as we go to sleep. They're like Toy Story toys.
All the animals at the zoo get up to no good when we
Yeah.
close our eyes. And I think for humans, we're animals too. And even though we know everything that we know about eclipses now, there is a part of our brain that I think is still unable to comprehend the scale of something like an eclipse and the fact that our senses tell us, oh, something's happening here. The light's going away. It's getting cold. Like, that is a panic sensation that throughout the ages and probably forever will cause people to tell stories and tales and whatever about eclipses.
I think there's also an inherent irrational thing that might happen where it's like the sun is kind of when you get your work done when the sun's out. Mm-hmm. Doing anything by fire sucks. Having lights made that infinitely better.
Yeah.
It's a sense of warmth. Like the sun is like warmth. The sun is life.
Yeah.
It gives life to fucking plants and blah, blah, blah. So the idea that it can like go away and maybe this will be the time it doesn't come back might be like an irrational but maybe embedded fear.
I think so. I think it's not something that we're necessarily even conscious of. It's just not something. It's in a way, I think it's a little similar to what you were just saying about circus tents that show up where they shouldn't be. Your brain's just like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, I drive by this every day and I don't see traveling people. Like traveling creeps.
And even beyond the fear of an eclipse, I think more than anything, if you're able to observe the one coming up next week, or if you're able to observe any eclipse in the future, I think they are really a majestic event that we should embrace the opportunity to witness, because they can be stirring in a way that most other natural events aren't really, because they are such an epic sight.
It's a global event.
It's a
even if you're not catching it total, something's happening where you are. Something's happening where you are, I think.
I think this quote from David Barron's 2017 book, American Eclipse, A Nation's Epic Race to Catch the Shadow of the Moon and Win the Glory of the World, which is a great title, wraps up this episode for us well. Quote, toting smartphones and clad in synthetic fibers, millions of Americans will travel to the path of the eclipse by air and interstate highway. They'll consider themselves knowledgeable and worldly, more sophisticated surely than their forebears who viewed the same sight with superstition and religious fervor. These modern Americans will act as if they are heading to an athletic event, eager to watch the moon conquer the sun. They will learn, however, that a total eclipse is no spectator sport. It is a primal experience that connects us to the universe and also bridges the span of history. Now, this next thing he wrote in the lead up to the 2017 eclipse. So he wrote, "The world may not end on August 21st, but lives will change. Some who stand in the path of the moon's shadow will look up and find God. Others will discover a passion for science, a desire to understand the workings of the sun and the solar system. All, meanwhile, will gain a new sense of kinship with generations of the past and future. A total eclipse baffles the mind and pierces the soul, as it always has and always will. It reminds us of our common, fragile humanity." So with that said, Ed, where are you putting solar eclipses on your fear tier?
1. The fear of not being able to get to the next one to see it in person is higher.
Yes. This is actually, I guess, the summer of fear in addition to mermaids. This will now be our second fear that we're putting at a 1 on the fear tier. But you know what? We're evening it out with some really high-placed fears, too. So,
yeah.
But I also put a solar eclipse at a 1. As long as you don't look at it, it's fine. You definitely should try to experience one. It is much of a totality of one as you can, if you ever can. They are awesome, and they will expand your mind just being there. So go out and catch one. And until then, the show is Scared All the Time. I'm Chris Kalari.
And I'm Ed Vicola.
And we will see you on the other side of the eclipse.
Oh, shit.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Scared All the Time is co-produced by Chris Kalari and Ed Vicola.
Written by Chris Kalari.
Edited by Ed Vicola.
Additional support and Keeper of Sanity is Tess Feifel.
Our theme song is the track Scared by Perpetual Stew.
And Mr. Disclaimer is...
And just a reminder, you can now support the podcast on Patreon and get all kinds of cool shit in return. Depending on the tier you choose, we'll be offering everything from ad-free episodes, producer credits, exclusive access, and exclusive merch.
So go sign up for our Patreon at scaredallthetimepodcast.com.
Don't worry, all scaredy cats welcome.
No part of this show can be reproduced anywhere without permission. Copyright Astonishing Legends Productions.
Good night.
We are in this together.
Together.